Alright, hello, this is Alexander Wales. What are we doing today? Exclusions document. I think I'm just going to get right into it. This is ex nihilo, which means from nothing in Latin. And then the other one will be astral. We're not doing the duplicates, we're doing something else. Okay, this one is mentioned exactly once in the text. So technically, I could do anything from it. But it's mentioned once in the text, only as an excluded skill. Hello, Matto. Um, okay. So what's let's see if this is major or minor. Label this minor. I checked yesterday, and it is mentioned once. Like, the phrase is used a couple times. But I believe this is the only reference in the text. If you can find a different one, let me know. I believe, is the hot dog skill is like tied to that, which I have this note for myself here. I don't know what to do with that, so but that was kind of the idea, is that there are certain powers which are like admin powers rather than just like do whatever you want. Everything is admin coded. It's never mentioned as the hot dog power. That's inferred, and I think word of God. I'm actually. Let's see if it's mentioned in here. The phrase is used a lot. Probably overused, but I don't know. It's excluded magic. It's not said which is excluded magic it is, though, right? Okay. So this is one where I know what the magic is, and I know what makes it dangerous, which is antimatter. But I'm not entirely sure how to make it good. Um, okay, so this is making things is a basic power. It's like telekinesis is a power that you usually do not want to you usually don't want to do, oh, you have the power to make anything. Because it gets very boring very, very quickly. Usually you want to restrict it to one very specific type of thing, and then if you want to make, like, you want to make a gun out of ice, then that is at least more interesting than just being able to make a gun. If you in terms of magic building, like, you want to place hard limits on a power like this, and the limits are what make it interesting, because that gives natural conflict to the system. And this is one of the things that makes GPT-3 just, like, god-awful at making magic systems, is because it always wants to be like, oh, whatever your mind can imagine. And that's a bad way to make a magic system. Instead, you want to make a magic system where it's not whatever your mind can imagine. It has some internal conflict, some internal problems that need to be solved. GPT-3 does not understand Sanderson's 3 laws of magic. This is, that's fine. But in terms of making this good, I think it should be slow, require chemical knowledge. I feel like there was either a section in Worth the Candle about this, or a cut section in terms of... I think it must have been rune magic. Where if you want to create matter using rune magic, you need to... Like, rune magic has the same thing. Let me check antimatter, which I believe is one word. Okay. That was not very helpful. Maybe I just shouldn't use antimatter here. Maybe I need to rethink this one. Okay, I'm debating just moving on and trying to figure out a better exclusion here. Like, this is fine. Like, having a single master matter creation exclusion is fine. Like, the other option is gray goo or something like it. Like, all the ways that master matter creation can go wrong be like a flood of some kind, gray goo, which, like, self-replicates, antimatter explosions, poisons. I think maybe we'll do poisons instead. I think that would be more interesting, especially because antimatter is already in the story under rune magic. In which case, we're just gonna... Grey goo isn't about matter, but if you can use matter creation to make anything, then you can make grey goo. I think I'm gonna try the poisons one, and I might come back to this. I think my problem here was always, like, trying to make it good. I need a name. Let's not do creation. Let's do sculpt. Well, that's amazing. That autocorrect. Uh, am I misspelling matriarchal? Matriarchal. Yes, I am. I figured it wouldn't just autocorrect that, but that's just that's like, did you mean matriarchy? Clearly you meant patriarchy. Like, that's I think I'm gonna poach something that's from a novel that I wrote like a third of. Um, which is the idea that you can either build something from scratch, which is very, very, very difficult, or you can build something from an example that you have, which is less problematic. Oh, one thing that I want here that I think is interesting is non-anime. Okay. Okay. Um, we're just gonna do Sculper. Do I like this? A little bit. I think it's got a. You could like. I like the idea of a. I don't know. One of the, I need to just write it, but one of the things that I like about this particular variant of this idea is that um, you have a like creative, or you have this like technical pursuit that has tons and tons of safeguards built up over time, and some calamity happens, and all those safeguards are just totally forgotten. And so everyone who is trying to do this is doing it from scratch and screwing up. Okay, if it's going to keep... Oh man, it is finally pumpkin spice latte season. So I got one, and it is wonderful. And I know it's very basic, but okay. You could create non-anima that don't look like humans. Yes. Sorry, just answering a message on Discord. It was my wife. Just letting me know that she loves me. Okay. And here I want a note from Raven, like kind of in the middle of the text. Sculptrix. Plural sculptrices. One less I? Yes. Okay, I'm not sure about that. I might... There is a severe lack of black holes. I know. Meet. Oh, yeah, right. I did misspell that. It's like I hate going to a word, not trusting Google, and it's like trying to figure out in what way I have misspelled it. I'm not dyslexic, but it does run in my family, and I sometimes wonder. I wonder if there's like a brain processing thing that is just like because my uncle's dyslexic, made a very very good career for himself as a doctor, but I talked about it with him once, and he's just like trying to describe what dyslexia feels like from the inside. I also read a really good biography of a Mennonite. I think he was also a doctor, but who was dyslexic, and like the ways that people cope with a brain that doesn't do the processing in the same way, and you develop a bunch of coping mechanisms and stuff. Anyway, I'm not dyslexic. I just worry, I guess. Um, I think that's like at least partly tongue in cheek. But not like entirely. Um, ugh. I guess I. Hmm. I think there will be some from Raven as a librarian that so there are several big problems if you can create anything from nothing, especially if it like holds the magic it should. Obviously, oh, that pumpkin spice latte is good. It is way too sweet. Um, I think it is more interesting if you can create like magically functional gold from nothing. Um, yeah, antimatter isn't even the worst. It's just the first thing that you would come across. Maybe. Okay, let me turn that around and make that a question. What is the first worst thing you would come across if you had the power to create anything? Does it depend on like your understanding of physics? Like, let's say you had a 19. Uh, I think Grey Goo is probably the first you'd come across, but Grey Goo or something like it. I'm gonna say not end heads, but maybe other things. As like a more like to make gold is okay. To make gold in the real world would be pretty easy because you just need to know the element of gold. To make like methane is more difficult because you need to know like chemically what methane is, or you need to be able to copy it. These limitations aren't in the document, so I guess I shouldn't even say that, but there are, like, the more complicated a thing you're trying to build, the less broken it is. Simply because of you have like this built up complexity that makes it more difficult. Okay, do I like this? Can't make souls. Um, the Empire doesn't know it's dangerous to the world. The library knows. But if people knew that it was dangerous to the world, then they would go there, right? So here's a thing that I think is interesting. Um, you wouldn't consider. Well, I mean, you couldn't consider it info hazard. Usually, that's not how I would use the term info hazard, but you could consider it so hazardous to know. So this is one of those things that. So I still haven't written the like nature of it. I think the nature is just that um, that there are areas of poison and fallout and things like that. They did kill themselves. Mostly what you need, is someone very, very cautious to be the first one to do it, and a lot of them just die. Uniquities doesn't know about the library, so they'd have to tell them covertly, and the library does not trust Uniquities because it sees Uniquities as weaponizing exclusions and stuff. It does not let you dismiss your creation. I mean, your creation is just created. It's creation from nothing. It's not deletion to nothing, or however you'd say that. Stuff is marked by magic. No. This is stuff that is, unless I need to change that because it was in the hot dog section. But I don't think it is. I don't think these hot dogs are marked as magical in any way. The mechanism works to exclude the act of creation rather than the creations than themselves. So I think that's fine. I did not include duplication of people. I think I'll include that in Raven's notes. Uh, well, Amaryllis would have to transport the antimatter. I'd have to reread that. That was one of those sections I reread several times. Yeah, fine. I'll. I mean, you can bulk teleport if you have antimatter storage, which I think they did through magnetic containment, which I think was still rune magic. I can just leave the antimatter. I haven't mentioned antimatter in here at all. Yeah, so I can just leave that out, and it does not matter. Okay. Okay. I mean, surely we'll agree even without antimatter. You could make a bomb using this power, right? Right. I mean, there's also the problem that Juniper doesn't have this as a skill. Like, would have had to respec. I'm not going to worry about the canonicity or lore aspects, but like you'd have to actually learn the magic, right? Like you can't just like go there and immediately do it. You need to respec your character sheet for Juniper, and for anyone else it would take more than that. I think it's not. Yeah, it's one of the things that Juniper could have respect and possibly used an excluded magic that way, but the rules on that weren't clear, and I don't know. I think maybe if I had written this exclusions document like 3 years ago, I might have ended up doing that. But I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it too much. And I'm not including a note on it. But, like, yeah. I'm just going to not worry about it and just plow on ahead. I was considering making it a bloodline magic. But I don't know about that. I don't know. Like, okay, if you can make a list of exclusions that would have solved story problems, or exclusions that debatably would have solved story problems or would require debate within the story, that would be helpful to me. But I also just like, I don't know. I do want to have answers for why they didn't, or like how that conversation went. But I also don't want to I don't want to do that. You know, I don't want to spend a bunch of time getting these to line up perfectly. How did it fare through the Second Empire? I would probably through with some kind of calamity. I also think like narratively, I'm gonna like resurrect this dead and very dangerous magic and use it for myself is like a dumb idea. Yeah, you can take notes. I mostly am not gonna worry about it too much. Like, I mean, this one was like. Here, let me look at the details. So this was created March 13th, 2020. So this document is what, a year and a half old? No. No, 2.5 years old. So the list was written out before then, so I at least had some idea of most of these. Like obviously the details, as you've seen, have changed as I write them, but this is not that far from what was originally planned for this. So hopefully, I mostly just didn't want to have them go to an exclusion zone unless that exclusion zone had been properly set up beforehand. Which was difficult because like there's already so many exclusion zones and there's so much like extra stuff in them. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try not to dwell on that stuff too much because that's part of the reason I just like held off on making the exclusions doc so much is because there's so much story to reconcile with it. So if there's like some minor discontinuities, or if there's like stuff they should have talked about, I'm just ignoring that and not doing it, because otherwise this document's going to get shelved and never worked on again. Oh, what's it called? It's special threats. Find special threats. Scrutiny. Okay, I think it was fine. I just need a nature. I'm not doing note. No. Like the money aspect is, I don't know. It's boring, right? Like, I personally find it boring. So no, we're leaving that one behind. It is now annoying me. All right, this one we're doing. I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back. Yeah, there are times I really just don't enjoy. Like the thing I don't enjoy about the exclusions document is that it is attached to this like 1.6 million word webfic, and all the like continuity stuff. How I like it best is when it's a green field. And a lot of these are written as though they are greenfield. There's no structures to worry about. There's like not really any history. It's just, think of a new zone of adventure. And in the sense that they are meant to be that within the text, that's a good thing. Like it is a it is a good thing for the zones of adventure to not just be like so deeply entwined with the setting, because if you're making zones of adventure, you don't want to have them wrapped up and stuff. I was thinking about this the other day. I also think that the exclusion document is worse when it wraps itself so completely into story stuff. I think it's just like, I want it to be more or less readable if you're like coming into the exclusions document and you have not read Worth the Candle. And a lot of people who read Worth the Candle are not. This is incorrect. A lot of people who read the Worth the Candle are not, experts on it. Like if you have an offhand mention of a certain type of magic, they'll be like, well, what is that? Which is a problem for me because it makes this worse. This is named Contra-Ethereal. Okay, we'll name it that. If that makes sense, like it needs to... No, we'll do CEEZ. It makes the whole document more niche and more difficult to read if it gets tied in. I think that's because I was thinking about this this argument that there needs to be more multi-magic, and I kind of get where that comes from, but I think it makes it makes the document as a whole less accessible. And like if you're not going to give a refresher on what those multi-magics are, like either you're giving a refresher which takes up more word count, and some of them are difficult to do succinctly, or like I don't know. I just think I think it weakens the document in favor of having it have more cohesive depth when paired with both the text itself and with the world building document. I don't know if that makes sense, but I was thinking about it last night. Like why my instinctual urge is to not have a bunch of interwoven and interlocking multi-magics and mentions of that stuff. Like even in so I'm going to talk about this for just a little bit more, and then I'm going to get to actually writing. Even in I don't think it was Fang. I think it was the one before that. It was in one of these where warding is mentioned as a as a method of materials refinement, and I'm like, well, if you're reading this, what are the chances that you understand what that even means? Like I don't need this to be totally understandable to anyone who comes in from outside and is not going to read Worth the Candle or the world building doc that has all the list of magics and stuff in it. But I do want it to be not. I do want you to be not totally lost on what the fuck I'm even talking about. So that I was also thinking that means that there's scope creep because glossary I need to do, and then a primer that goes into a 5-paragraph primer to just be like, hey, this is what this world is, and here is a rough timeline, and here's everything that you need to know about this world to make sure that you are not totally drowned in new stuff. I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot because I don't know. I've been the question of who this document is for is one that nags at me, and is an important one. Bulk teleportation exclusion zone. No, I am committed to not creeping scope like that. It is mentioned that there are exclusions for bulk teleport, but they wouldn't be exploitable, right? They would just be. I mean, they'd be exploitable in the sense of making more energy and stuff. It's noted that you can't just bulk teleport a rod of iron a mile up and drop it on a city or whatever. But if that's excluded to a zone, it's a really, really boring zone, right? Because who's going to be doing that, Okay. So, moving on, I probably need to write down some thoughts on the exclusion doc now that we're, I want to say close to the end. We're not that close to the end. Stats. Okay, we were closer to the end than to the middle. Right? But I need to like write down some thoughts, and especially stuff that I'm going to be looking at in the edit. And there are two things I'm going to be looking at in the edit more closely. One is, how does this read to a new reader who's coming to this from outside? How does this interact with the story? Because I worry it's a mismatch, and it would be better just focus on one or the other, or something. But I don't want to create a whole bunch more work for myself. Like this one especially, I think the reason I find it annoying is it is mentioned in the story. It is mentioned in the story, and I think the way it's written possibly creates problems in the story, or if not problems in the story, then at least like story justifications. I'm not adding to Worth the Candle at this point. I'm not like rewriting stuff, especially not to make it in line with this with this document and stuff. But there's a class of problems that I find a little frustrating. Problems of my own design, which makes them more frustrating. If it were like, oh, someone did this thing, and now I've gotten like screwed by that. That would be one thing. But these are all problems I've created for myself. What do you mean, communities that are into the weird stuff? I was planning to have some of these posted to like the world building subreddit every now and then. Not all of them, but just every once in a while, just be like, hey, if I am doing them one a day, just put them out into like the world building subreddit. But then like there's that same problem of, does this only is this only worthwhile if you have not, or if you've read the entirety of Worth the Candle and the world building document, or just Worth the Candle, or are you mostly fine if you read the world building document, especially the history section, because the Second Empire gets mentioned. And yeah, I don't go on 4chan anymore. I haven't since I was in my early 20s. But that is a question. Probably tonight I will work on it, or at least think about it, like how to make it approachable for people, and how to counterbalance the stuff. Because I feel like the requests that I get from you guys are always like more multi-magic, more like exploitation, more tying it in with the story stuff, and that makes the entries a lot longer, and I'm not sure how much benefit the entries get from it. If that makes sense. Okay, I gotta get started on this if I want to do 2 today, which I said I would, and that would leave me almost below 10. No, not almost below 10. If I do 2 on Saturday, it would be almost below 10. If I axe one of these, if I axe Gates of Lauron, yeah, I did move Illusion Magic and Necronatalism to just not doing. But I don't know that for sure. And everything that's in not doing here has a status of not doing instead of just being deleted, just in case I get to the end of this and I'm like, you know what? I really like need for texture. I need this extra one. So I'll think about that. Okay. Here, I'm gonna write Juniper. Do this unconventionally. Juniper's notes. And I don't think I capitalized planes, which I probably should have. I think it hurts general readability. Well, part of it is that it's not even general readability. It's like people who read Worth the Candle. It's like, okay, so in this used to be about dungeons. There was a mention of Marta, who's showed up like twice, but it was like in chapter 2 and in chapter like 43. And I got a couple comments from people that they have like no idea who this person is, which is fair. But that could be fixed by having like a one line identifier that like maybe will jog your memory a bit. It's much harder to do that with the magics, even though they're mostly named in coherent ways. There's you call it blood magic, and you immediately remember that it involves blood, which jogs your memory more. Yeah, so I'm worried about general readability, but I'm also worried about like just people who have not read Worth the Candle in the last year. It's been out of their mind. They like don't even necessarily know, like, would not be able to remember the names of even major characters necessarily, because there's like 8 people. Would I say there's like 8 major characters? Maybe there's like a dozen characters I'd consider major. It's not just like, I do worry about general readability, but I worry about how much time has passed, and partly that's my fault for putting this off and just like shelving it and saying I'd do it later when I had the cycles for it or the patience for Worth the Candle. Clearly today I'm not doing well on patience, which I apologize for, but yeah, there's I need to sit down and reread some of the stuff, and ideally what I do is I reread the entire document, which is... Oh, I haven't been doing word count. Oh, no, I have. I usually check just at the end of the stream. Almost 50,000 words. So ideally, I would reread the entire document, make some spot edits, line edits, word repetition, that kind of thing. And then I would decide more on the audience. Try to decide like what balance I'm going for overall, and then do what would be my actual like second pass through it to try to bring each entry into line with the other entries. And I think what it's going to end up happening is that some of them are going to be more lore entries and some of them are going to be more standalone. Because one of the purposes for one of the purposes for this document was to have it be a thing that people could rip zones of adventure from for D&D. That's one of the main use cases for it, rather than just like reading the whole thing cover to cover for pleasure. It's, I think, a resource in that way, and that's one of the things that I want to make sure that like maybe half of it works for that you don't need to bring in a whole bunch of other cosmology. You don't need to, like, because that's how the Manual of Planes is written, right? It's like, hey, here are a bunch of ideas for the elemental plane of wood and what it's like. Here's like a spell for it and a bunch of other stuff. And if you want to include it in your cosmology, here's how. But like, obviously there's some that are more like story heavy, and like those aren't going to work as well. So I'm going to try to figure out the split that I want for that, and then some writing guidelines for myself for when I'm doing the edit. Because right now I think a lot of these first pass are fine. But we'll see how I feel about that once I've reread it. Juniper has a clarification. The astral plane is the location of the Void Beast, yes. Moment of Wrath, I need to double check whether astral is mentioned. Yes, astral is mentioned only once here. This isn't a flashback. There's a thing that you can do in D&D, I think it's 3.5, where you put a bag of holding inside of you put extra dimensional spaces inside each other, and then they explode, and then you get dumped into the astral plane. Beyond time and space. I don't think the astral plane is beyond time and space. I think it's just kind of an a necessary extra dimensional area between things. Um, okay. So what is cool or interesting? Oops. I don't think that it looks like anything. That's a bad answer, but like, here, I'm gonna try to. I don't normally do this on stream, but I'm gonna try and generate an astronaut. Here, we want like steampunk astronaut in starless space. I don't know that it'll do starless. I think it'll probably just do stars. Oh shoot! I said fast. Fast is not all. Okay, well, whatever. I'm trying to find a good picture, but the problem is that if you, I just want the astronaut. I don't want the. Like it shouldn't have stars. I guess it's also unclear whether I don't know. Like, ideally, it'd be visually interesting, but I also like the idea that if you launch yourself into astral space, it is just, like, totally black. Yes, Uther's interdiction exists within the, within astral space. Like, there should be some things in there. None of these are very good. Bad job mid-journey. I just wanted someone in like a steampunk astronaut outfit. Okay, I'm gonna ditch this for now, but because I did not immediately get anything that I want to use. The bit about astral travel seems like it doesn't fit in nature to me. Oh, well, I'm gonna leave it there for now. But yeah, you're right. That's a features thing a little bit more. One of the things I need to do on the edit, and I don't have the time for it. But I need to bring all those in line with each other. I think nature should just be... Okay, I am going to fix this right now. Nature should be like 1 or 2 sentences at most, just describing that. It should not be called nature. I need to bring everything in line, but I think nature gets renamed to something else. It's going to be like... just description or something, and I think that code gets brought down here. It's going to be like code there. It doesn't make sense to basically have 2 fields and that are just combined up there. But there's a lot of like tedious stuff that I'll be changing, and then when I do post this, I think it's going to be in alphabetical order. So I need to think about that as well. Because ideally, some of these entries are not next to each other because they are a little bit samey. Although I do kind of like the idea that you get like 2 reflections on a topic. So I guess I don't know about that. But there's a lot of stuff I need to like clarify. Oh, geez. Hour and a half. I'm trying to find the word that I used. Contingent is probably overused if it shows up 3 times. It's one of the other things that will need to be hammered out in the edit is to try to make sure that there are no cinnamon words that are distracting. Like you're allowed to use contingent like 3 times within 50,000 words. Yay, do. Okay. Past 50,000 words. Is this called astral magic? Yes. What do you do with astral magic? Okay, let me figure this out. Let me figure out what you actually... Let's say you are an astral mage. An astronaut. I don't think there's been a monster summoner specifically. The Golem exclusion zone, the summoning the ghosts in the Ash Magic exclusion zone, the Mirror Magic exclusion zone. Like, those aren't monster summoner, but those are the closest that meet a summoner archetype. So I think there are 3. I'm probably missing one because there's so many exclusions now that vitality monsters, yeah. Flesh smiths, creationism, Mendelism. You could have it summoning. Okay, so the base case here. Oh, astral projection is a very common D&D thing. I think I will include it here. But I'm going to put a question mark. Astral projection as it is doesn't really fit, but it's like a D&D staple. Yes, that would be a way to do that. To like come in an actual ship. I'm just gonna check what my favorite Splat book has to say about the. I think I looked at this last night too. It is a transitive plane. They call it 47. No, 47. Long tube-shaped cloud. Like, I like this stuff, but it doesn't really. Like, denizens of the astral plane, that's cool. Refugees from other planes. I'm debating how much of this to steal. In Arbian cosmology, astral plane would not collect this stuff that goes to the plane of drift. Maybe include something about the plane of drift. Oh, this is something I wanted to steal. The enhanced magic. You pass through without knowing. You could have teleportation. Like, I could do this, where teleportation does go through the astral plane. Or bulk teleport is like an outgrowth of that. But I don't think I'm doing any of this. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing any of this. Psychic storms, dead deities. Dead deities would be cool, because there are 2 dead deities in Worth the Candle. Astral ships, which I think I am including. Okay. We don't call them ink tads. Yeah, it's monads, but I don't want to. For the aforementioned accessibility reason, I want to not include words that people are going to be like, huh? And then monad is mentioned, I think, once in Worth the Candle, maybe twice if I include the world building document. But that's one of those things where you say ink mage, and I think people will remember that a little bit better. And if they don't know it at all, then this is a less obtrusive way of saying the same thing. And obviously the astral plane is not itself excluded, it's just access to it in this way. This is a real thing. Minor Bird is an actual... are blink dogs mentioned in Worth the Candle? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that doesn't count. Not Displacer Beast, not Blink Dog, a Yeah, astronauts is better. Uh, I don't think we're doing astral projection. I think it just doesn't fit in this very well, and so astral projection can be not included. Like, it's something that could be worked in. I just I don't like astral projection that much. Um, when one left the Okay, well that's not right though. Like, just put the hyphen back in, right? You don't. Okay, whatever. Re-enter. Okay, yes. Sorry. Just spell check trying to trip me up again. Okay. Void crystals, I think, don't tie in directly to the astral plane. I was debating for this one that this entry would have like the origin of the void beast or something, but it's not in the text, and so I'm not going to tie it in. Void beast just lives there, and is like a being of the astral plane. Yeah, it would need to be in Worth the Candle, for me to do that. Because I think it should have been in there if it was going to appear here. So that's one of the ways where I need to write around canon, even though I think it would be a neat idea if I'd had it then, because this was not originally going to be what the what the entry was going to be, right? It was just going to be like astral duplicates or astral projection or something. I think we're doing something just totally different here. Yeah, and so this is going to be... We haven't talked about the dangers yet, but I think that goes in features. I think it is the closest thing to space travel. Does anyone... Okay, what is the closest of the elemental planes? Oh, the closest of the planes is actually the ethereal plane. Water. Okay. I don't... I guess you can use it to go into space, but the part of the idea is that this is the closest that you get to space travel in Worth the Candle. Oh, we don't do 11 FE, we'd say 11 BE. I think in actual space, if you go far enough, like the stars in... I think that in Worth the Candle, space is not actually infinite. I think you just go bumping right into the stars. Surely there's an elemental plane of metal. I will double check. I'd be supremely... No, there's no elemental plane of metal. Oh, there's iron. Okay, that must have been what I'm thinking of. Yeah, iron. P space does count as a plane. Well, okay, so maybe it doesn't. Maybe I think the way that I would do this is I would do it like D&D does it, and you say some of these planes are like different from each other. So this is the you have M space, N space, T space, P space. Ethereal plane. You can only get there if you're a Star Mage, but because Astral Mage is excluded. Plane of Drift. Yeah, conceptual planes. So yeah, I think the answer is that no, you cannot use astral magic to get to conceptual planes. And there's more than one conceptual plane. I think. That might be something where I changed it and then now I'm just confused about it. So you should never change your mind. I think the need for them was quickly removed. No, I think it was just proved possible by an ink mage, and then like different attempts were made. So like the intent of this line, where you only need a handful of feathers from a magical bird. Like, since you're like steampunk astronauts, and you can just send some electricity through a feather, and it'll take you to the astral plane very briefly, and then you wear like a diving suit to do it, and then or you have magical protection, and then you do the same thing and you come right back. The idea being that the transient mina is a type of magical bird which uses the astral plane to travel. I mean, I don't know if I'll flesh that out, or if we just have a line about, hey, there's like, hey, using a okay, maybe I will. Oh, I'm going way too far. Sure. Um, Did the bird lose its magic? We'll say sure, I guess. Um, right. It wouldn't be the Firefly, it'd be the Serenity. I mean, it could be the Firefly, because it's an Uther name, but we'll pick a Magic the Gathering one. Make sure that I did not... Um... No, Juniper sci-fi setting just like didn't fit. I mean, there's cool stuff that you can do with this, but we say almost always. It must be only in supplemental. Okay, yeah. An attempt was made to create okay, so the idea is that the astral natives came from far off planes and the Void Beast was slowly chasing them. I'm not including that in the doc because otherwise it need to be included in the story. But the idea is that they're fleeing some far off calamity. And then Uther's, adventure with them is set up for some future adventure he was supposed to have. That's not going to be in the doc, but that's where my mind was. This exclusion also helps explain Uther's interdiction, which is only explained in the Q&A. Which is that he put up a barrier, but he would have done that in the astral plane, and he did that while he was on the Weatherlight, or whatever you want to call it. He just used his special ship and flew out there and then put up a barrier. And just never told anyone how he did it, and no one ever found out. Is this minor or major? This is minor? Yes. I think that we will say in here that there's air leaking out of it. Maybe? Or that the end game there is just total, like, Tippyverse interconnection of places. Like, if you could potentially poke a tunnel from... have, like, a 10-foot long tunnel that people could walk through from one place on the Earth to the other, that would be exclusion worthy. Um, oh, go up. 2 and from the... Exclusion won't solve this one single one. No. But it would solve the overall problem. And it's not like even necessarily a problem. This is one that's excluded because it's setting breaking, not because it's a danger to the entirety of ARB. Um, uh, we're going to call it a breach. Okay, is this right or is it wrong? Is it exclusions do have excluded areas in other planes, yes, but no one knows that. So yes, you could still use this exclusion to get into the astral plane and then have a single landing spot on these on any of the other planes. Well, okay. Here's what annoys me is I was like, is this correct or not? And then it like highlighted it with a squiggle very briefly, and then it disappeared. And I'm like, why do you do this to me? Um, we have not given the size of this portal. I think that's fine, though. That way I don't need to do math. Yes, this is technically still history. That's fine. Deteriorate. Okay, that's gonna be it for this one. And then that's gonna be it for me for today. I still need to Control Shift C. That's 2,000 words over 2.5 hours. That's fine. Let's do. That's what, 150 minutes. Okay, that comes out to be like 13 words per minute, which is not great. I'm not gonna worry. I think I spent like 20 minutes just complaining. So which is fine. I think it's good to complain sometimes. Okay. Star Magic Star Magic is just so different. What did I say for this? 117? I gotta check. 171. Okay, so this is first pass. We can both go green, and then we can get them out of here by a resort. Yeah, I could include that. I mean, if it's in the exclusions doc, or if it's in the if it's in the world building doc, this would be better as a note from someone. Um, it's adverse. It's AWRD. Yeah. Exclusion risk mitigation laws. Okay. Shoot. Is this one going to be before or after flesh smithing? I think it'll be before. Whatever. I'm not gonna not worry about references until I've set everything in order. One of the things is that like you don't want to be just repeating what this is over and over, but in theory, if this is arranged alphabetically, the first instance we explain it. The second instance, people either know it or whatever. Um, I don't know if this note adds anything. I'm gonna leave it in because whatever, it's more words. But I don't know if that note adds anything. And it doesn't mention star magic. I know, but whatever. All right. What do we have? We have just these ones left. I think we'll do torn tapestry. Oh, we do red instead of green. Torn tapestry, and I think we'll do Herent. These are very similar ones, I think. Like, obviously, I have not written them, so I don't know. But I think those are very similar ones. So, Herent and Torn Tapestry. Oops. And then this one is thread. Okay. I'll probably stream tomorrow. It depends on where I'm at with dungeons, and I've got like other stuff I'm working on. But I think that's it for today. Just we got 12 left, which is probably 1 week of work. All right, that's the stream. Thanks for joining me.